So are we all in? Are you happy for us to go?
Yeah.
Great. So welcome everybody on this bit of a dreary afternoon in sunny Manchester, but never mind. And welcome to the Community Connect session on communities at different career stages. My name is Bridget Foley and I'm very happy to host today's session. I'd like to introduce you shortly to our panel speakers, but there's just a couple of things I need to run through around housekeeping. So we are running a very interactive session today, but I'd appreciate it if you could put yourselves on mute if you're not speaking, and that will remove background noise, etc. If you want to ask a question, please feel free to use the chat function, or you can save those to the end when we cover the Q&A piece. Alternatively, you can raise your hand, ask a question then, or pop something in our chat function. We'd love to hear where you're from, your LinkedIn profile, address, and any comments that you have. So, let's keep this quite fluid and light, and I'm very excited to introduce our three women panelists today. So the first lady I'd like to introduce is Lysanne McKay. And Lysanne has had a very varied career across corporate sector, including hospitality, utilities, and now at Drummond Safari Park. And we were just talking about her office overlooking the Rhino. So very exciting to be in that situation. Lysanne is a ACCA prize winner and she's been a member since 2020. She's recently taken on the role of moderator at ACCA members and affiliates Facebook group, and we'll hear about her community building shortly. We've also got Becky Hennessy, and like Lysanne, Becky has a very varied career across corporate sector, but also not-for-profit and including retail and education. So that is quite a lot of information that she's gathered around those sectors. Becky was shortlisted for the 2019 PQ Awards for Best Use of Social Media, and she won the Editors Award for that. So congratulations for that, Becky. And finally, Lorna Williams, our own early careers manager at ACCA. Lorna has a vast experience, number of years in this arena, and we were very lucky to hook Lorna last year to come and support us and lead us on our early careers initiative. So I'm delighted to welcome Lorna, Lysanne and Becky to the panel. So first of all, I'd just like to ask one question of each of you, and if that would hopefully help you to describe the communities that you are hosting and nurtured and developed over time for ACCA. So I'm going to go to Becky for that first, if that's all right.
Nothing like putting me on the spot first. The ACCA Distance Learning Students Group on Facebook is a community for students, basically, students starting out. We also have students that are coming across from different career paths, so maybe totally changing career, or they've done a degree in accounting or AAT as well.
Great, thank you very much, Becky. And Lysanne, same question.
So yeah, I am sort of moderator and administrator of the ACCA UK members and affiliate group on Facebook, which is basically a group for anyone in the UK that has passed their exams and are now either having affiliate status or have become members from that. And it's me, myself and Natalie Adele who originally set that group up in 2019.
Great, thank you very much, Lysanne. And finally, Lorna.
Thank you. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So as Bridget said, I am the Early Careers Manager at ACCA. I've been here since September, which is the same time that the Early Careers remit came into play. So I have been looking at, so this is a future community, I should say, actually, before going into any further detail. We're not up and running just yet. So I've been in this role for about 7 months and just looking at starting an early careers ambassador community. So what that means is focusing on young people that are making their first steps into their career journey. So that could be young people that are at school, further education colleges, undergraduates, but not just them, also kind of people that are key in influencing their decision making as well. So whether that's career leaders, teachers, parents, guardians, careers advisors, whoever that may be. And the community that we're looking to create is really an advocate community or an ambassador community that can support the early careers strategic objectives by engaging with those schools, colleges, universities to increase attractiveness of the profession, by changing perceptions, myth busting, raising the ACCA brand, and helping us to support inclusion and access to the profession simultaneously as well.
Great, thanks very much. And really, what was the reason behind setting up these communities, mainly for Becky and Lysanne? What was the predominant reason that you wanted to get those communities together? And I'll come to Becky first.
Well, I started my ACCA journey in 2014. I was just a lonely student with a book and didn't really have anyone else to talk to. I wasn't interacting with anyone else. And in my workplace I worked in at the time, everyone had qualified, so it was just little old me there with a book. So I wanted to connect with other students and network and find out about tuition providers, for example, and yeah, so that's why the group has been set up. So since 2014, we've been going for quite a while now. And I hadn't realised that until yesterday when I looked at when we'd set the group up. How many
members have you got on that group, Becky?
Just under 3,700. So we have, we tend to retain members. We've got tuition providers on there, tutors, or what we would call them as group experts, and then students as well. So
fantastic, a real varied group.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Lysanne, same question really. Why? What's the driving force behind you setting up the community?
I think for me, I was actually part of the student group as well when I was studying, and I really liked that group, and it was really a nice sense of community because you were all going through the same thing at sort of the same time. And when I obviously finished my exams and became a member, that was literally just short before COVID and everything was shutting down. So after I became a member, I wasn't quite sure how I could interact with other people or how I could find out about the broader community with ACCA. So when I found the Facebook group that Natalie had set up, it was sort of that when you are not really able to interact with anyone else because there aren't any live events that ACCA would normally do, there was sort of a lifeline there as well. And Natalie had set a group up with the same sort of thought in mind as a student group, as it is sort of the continuation of that journey. So when you're a student, you have this journey with the exams and you're studying, you're all sort of together, and then you become a member or an affiliate once the exams are done. And that journey is kind of different, but still the same. So you're kind of taking your next steps or your first steps and building an appropriate career after you've done all your exams. And it's just a place to sort of be together in this continuation of the journey and you know, to celebrate each other of their achievements and the next steps they're taking, or to find sort of common ground in what we're all now experiencing and going through in the journey.
Great, thank you, Lysanne. And I guess, Lorna, slightly different question, because as you said, you're at the very beginning of the community that you're trying to build, but what's the rationale behind that?
Yeah, sure. So I've been doing some exploratory work, obviously, since I started Enroll, just kind of understanding what early careers work is already happening. And I know that we've got some really wonderful members doing really great advocacy work, but we haven't necessarily, because this is a new role, we haven't been set up historically necessarily to kind of support them with the work that they're carrying out. And it's really important that we make sure that there's a consistent message that's being shared with young people that are considering a role in accounting, or that aren't, that we're trying to encourage to come into the profession. And it's making sure that those members that are going out and spreading the word about the profession, but also about ACCA, making sure that they're supported, that the work is streamlined, and that we've got a clear strategy behind early careers, but also that we're kind of aligned with the ACCA brand, and we're upskilling those members to, on that brand. And also, things are changing all the time. We've got an accounting T-level launching in September, which we haven't necessarily kind of educated everyone on just yet, and we know that people are going out into schools and universities and talking to students all the time. So it's just about making sure that those people are really supported, but also that we're showcasing the profession in the most appealing way that's possible for young people, and in a way that really resonates for them. And we know that there's really exciting work going on in SMEs, public sector, in so many kind of different industries. And I think it's really important for us to be able to make sure that we're showcasing the profession to young people, and they understand what a wide range of industries they can work in, and making that really, really attractive. And alongside that, and a really big part of that as well, just making sure that we at ACCA are leading inclusion within the profession as well, and that we're not just going out to to young people that will do well and will do really well academically and have the connections maybe already through family and friends into the profession, but also just making sure that we're advocating and getting ambassadors out there that are kind of representative of a really diverse range of people, to help us ensure that the perception of accounting is relatable to everyone, and attractive to everyone from all different backgrounds. And I think also a space for ambassadors or advocates as well to share their learnings and best practice with each other from the work that they're already doing. So yeah, just supporting everyone that's already doing that work and helping them to feel really confident, and providing that support network as well as resources.
Thank you, Lorna. I mean, you've answered a question I was going to ask next, so I'll probably come to Lysanne and Becky. But what are members, affiliates, student members looking for from the group? What kind of support requests are you getting, or is it purely around narrative, around guidance? Can you maybe explain that? And I'll come to Lysanne this time in my middle of my screen.
Well, for us, it's quite an informal community, which is more or less members led. So we are here to basically support each other and ask questions and help as much as we could. And if there's anything that no one really is good in the group, we do some research to see if ACCA has some support, and put it to the ethics line, which we had an incident a wee while back. But it's literally just being the peer support. We share CPD tips, which is always quite popular for us. If we have come across anything that is potentially for free as well, because that's always very popular, the free CPD, and talking about well-being and managing stress and things. But we are there as well to support each other. So if anyone's having a new job, any milestones reached, we're happy to celebrate and congratulate them on there as well. So that's sort of what we're doing. What we're doing there is sort of an informal get together and see how we're getting on most of the time and what we're doing.
Great, thank you, Lysanne. And Becky, anything to add around your community?
We are probably quite informal as well. But the difference is that people will post questions and things that they're stuck on, and people will respond. But we also have the added, we have the group experts, the tutors, so we advertise things like free webinars, book sales. So I'm quite a sustainable, green initiative sort of person. So I try to encourage people to sell their books on the group rather than just putting them in the bin. We have we've run competitions before on the group, celebrate things like birthdays,
real
group birthdays.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's just sometimes a place that people can just rant. And if something's not going quite well at work, or it's pretty much the same really as the members group, we try to advise each other, etc. So yeah.
Excellent. And I'm interested in that you both, Lysanne and Becky, both became members in lockdown, I guess, that 2020. And has that shaped the way you interact with the community? Because it's mostly online, but are you planning any kind of face-to-face, or is that something you would exclude? You're getting everything you need from the online communities? And that's for either of you, Lysanne first or Becky, whoever wants to answer that first.
I think we have considered a face-to-face meeting before, but it's the logistics of a venue and, you know, the costs associated, and, you know, we're an online community, so we're not raising any money or anything like that. So we have considered it. I would love to, but it's not something that's in the pipeline at the moment. As I've been off, you know, work for a year, really.
Yeah.
I've sort of, my focus have shifted towards a baby rather than the group as such.
Yeah.
So although I'm there on the
gets in
group,
the way.
I'm not. Yeah, life has got in the way a little bit. Yeah.
And it does. How about you, Lysanne?
For us at the moment, it's mainly online. So we did try. We did have a think about if we can bring that into real life, but we are quite spread over quite a large area. Me in Scotland, Natalie, for example, South England. So we're covering quite a broad area as well, similar to Becky. It's probably the logistics behind it. We did have sort of an informal online virtual coffee catch up as well, which went quite well, where, you know, we found quite a lot of common ground as well, which was sort of boosting sort of the reason behind the group as well. Finding, you know, the common ground for us, what we found in that meeting was sort of that imposter syndrome, like feeling of not being quite sure what you're doing, but, you know, in that it's something that we're planning going forward, again, having more of these virtual catch-ups, and potentially seeing how the group grows, to see how we can translate something like this into real life. But at the moment, it's not, the group isn't as big as it could be in regards to even planning regional meetups just now.
Great, thank you, Lysanne. And Lorna, I know that we get a few requests for face-to-face, but what are your plans, virtual versus face-to-face, going forward?
Yeah, so I think it will be a little bit of a mix of both. In terms of the actual ambassador community itself, I'm still kind of figuring out exactly what kind of platform it will be on, and it definitely will be a virtual platform. And I think mainly because we'll be looking to kind of house self-serving resources and materials that people can just go in and find a deck, for example, to take to a school or a university as a template that they can then adapt, as well as lots more kind of social media assets and all sorts of things, as well as a place, I suppose, that people can chat virtually as well and share learnings and feedback and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, as you say, Bridget, we get lots of requests from schools and universities who are moving, you know, much more back to a face-to-face kind of setup. So I imagine in terms of the ambassador community itself interacting internally or inwardly, I imagine at the moment that will be completely virtual, and you know, we are looking to be digital first with that, but obviously we need to adapt to the needs of the kind of opportunities that we're being asked to get involved in and present at. So outwardly and from an outreach perspective, I imagine there'll be a mix of both. Yeah,
Great. And tell me about how you're attracting our members, future members, affiliates. How do you actively go out and recruit, or is it word of mouth? Tell me a little bit about how you're attracting our members, and I'm going to come to Becky on that one first.
Our group really is word of mouth, or someone in the group will invite someone else. PQ magazine do quite a lot of mentions for our group. And some of the tuition providers as well. We also get mentioned quite a lot on accountancy provider. So it's just mainly word of mouth, really. And occasionally I will go into the AAT group and say, well, you know, we are the next step, sort of, if you are taking the leap to ACCA.
That's interesting. I'm going to come on to competition in a moment, but that's really helpful. Thanks, Becky. And Lysanne, how are you attracting people in?
Well, that's quite similar to the student group. So a lot of it is sort of word of mouth and people searching for it on Facebook. But we've been quite lucky as well, because ACC has featured us on their website as well with the link for the group as well. And, you know, there's a note in it in sort of the new members congratulatory email to, you know, building the community. So there's sort of the mention of that in us as well. So we do get like once the exams are gone, a lot of people become members. We just sometimes get sort of the quarterly influx of new joiners through that as well, which is quite nice to see.
Yeah, that's great. And Lorna, you know, how are you going to attract the right people into your community moving forward?
Yeah, so it's a process that we're still going through at the moment to kind of identify exactly how we will attract people, but also how we'll find them the right opportunities. Because I think, as I said, we've got so many really enthusiastic and passionate members, but this just to say as well, because I'm not actually sure if I've mentioned it yet, but this community won't just be members, it will also be future members and people that will be really relatable to those young people. So if we're looking to talk about ACCA apprenticeships, then it would be great if we could have a current ACCA apprentice. So it will be a mix of members and future members. Exactly how we'll start that attraction piece, I'm not quite sure yet. It will be word of mouth. There's also lots of members of the team that are aware of members and future members that are already doing incredible work and resonating really well with the early careers audience. So I imagine it will start quite small, and it will just be something that over time we build on as we identify people that are passionate and doing a really good job of interacting and engaging with that group. But then there will be a process in place to help me and the team identify who's right for which opportunity, because we want to make sure that we're busting myths where we need to bust them, and that we're kind of getting the right people in front of the right audiences. We know that every audience will be slightly different and need a different person that can relate to them. So I think I imagine, this might not be exactly how it pans out, but I imagine that there'll be some kind of expression of interest sort of form where we ask the member or future member which area they're really passionate about, you know, what their current role is, what their experience is to date, and then we find them the right opportunity. Because it might be that someone that's great at public speaking and talking in front of lots and lots of year 10s might not be as comfortable or confident or well versed in a one-on-one mentor relationship with someone doing their undergraduate degree, for example. So there'll be a bit of kind of attraction, identification and selection for the right opportunities that kind of works both ways, I imagine. But yeah, TBC on that at the moment. But as soon as we've process in place, that will be shared.
Great, thanks, Lorna. And I mean, I mentioned competition earlier, but are other professional bodies, you mentioned AAT, Becky, are they doing similar type environments, communities to us, or are we unique in that situation?
Yes and no to your question, I think. So they have a fabulous independent student group on Facebook again. So that's where I pitched my idea in a way from the ACCA group. But they also have like a members and student board, like a community board in the background of their website. So, and you have to be a student or a member to access that.
Right, so a bit more formal maybe than ours is a little bit more less formal. Yeah. And Lysanne, anything that you've come across that might be interesting for us from a competitor point of view?
I think, you know, I'm pretty sure that most of the organizations do have some sort of groups together, informal or formal, either, you know, led by the organization themselves or even by students similar to what we have. But I've come across simply by looking for answers, because I'm quite heavily involved in payroll as well. So there is a UK payroll group, for example, where loads of people always ask questions about that as well, which is quite good, because it's quite a niche thing that maybe not everyone has. And I found sort of a smaller group for independent bookkeepers within Scotland as well. So there's a lot of, I think it's probably a natural thing, especially now with the social media age, that groups do tend to find each other and building each other up. And it's not just Facebook, it's other places like LinkedIn and Reddit where we find all of these groups as well, where there's a presence of students or, you know, members or people working in these environments.
Great, thank you. And Lorna, I guess we know that our other professional bodies are doing the early careers piece. Certainly, I think we're pretty much aware of that, aren't we, across that board? Okay, question for you now around what it is you think and what it is that you're supporting ACCA communities with. What would you, if you were selling your particular platform or group, how would you sell it to somebody who was thinking about, you know, maybe I'll join, maybe I won't come online? So what would you say? And I'll come to Lysanne first. Why come to you? Why come to your community group?
I think it's quite a nice place to be in. It is sort of especially while we're still sort of getting to a new normal, and maybe not everything is going back into face-to-face meetings, or face-to-face meetings are still having sort of maybe some restrictions on sizes together. It's quite a nice place to be together, to find different people in different stages and in different areas they work in, to sort of bounce off each other in a way to as well seek that support from maybe a different point of view or a different stage in their careers. And it's just about being together and continuing the road. And, you know, I always say that accountancy is something that seems boring to other people if you're having a rant about your job. So he can come to our group and we'll know exactly what you're talking about, and we'll be there to sort of understand and have the support. And you know, and if you are having sort of achievements along the line, to literally just be there and to celebrate. You know, if you're saying it's like, you know, I've been working so hard on putting a procedure in place, and everyone around you, your partner, your parents, will think, all right, fair enough. Everyone will be like, yay, well done, you know, because we all know a lot of things in our environment can take a lot of time and a lot of frustrations that maybe the outside world doesn't see as such. So it's a nice place for us to be together and to have the support from other people, and, you know, to share the tips around the CPD as well. If you have good if you have been on a good course that you can share, and especially if it's for free, because cost is always a problem there sometimes as well. So if you have good reliable CPD to share in the group, that's always quite well received too.
I like that strap line. I think you should coin that. Nice place to be. I think that's great. Definitely put that up on the page for sure.
We will.
And Becky, same question. You know, how would you sell your community to other ACCAs?
Well, I was going to steal a nice place to be, but I'll have to start again. I would say it's a open, a light-hearted group, really.
I think we lost you a little bit there, Becky. I think we're losing you. Is everybody else losing Becky a little bit? I think we've lost her. Are you back, Becky?
Can you hear me?
Hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
I've turned my camera off for now.
Yeah, would you do that one again? Sorry, it was a little broken.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so I was going to steal the same tagline as Lysanne, but it's just a friendly, supportive community where there's no silly or stupid questions.
Excellent, thank you. And Lorna, same question, I guess, is how are you going to sell it? I don't know if it's a similar type answer, but how are you going to sell?
Shall I go and then
maybe we'll get
finish if we get her back? Yeah. It probably is a similar answer, to be honest. I think the benefits aren't just for obviously the students and on the other end. It's really a CPD opportunity for anyone that wants to be involved, and a lot of those people will be doing, as I mentioned, will be doing the work already. So it's about supporting those people, giving them the tools and the resources to be able to do that really, really well. But the CPD that goes along with that, whether it's public speaking or coaching skills or whatever it may be, CPD for people that are doing it already or want to do it, it's that brand training, it's the support network as well from other people across the country that are doing it, as well as just broadening your own networks with the ACCA community and other members itself, because it will be everyone together on a virtual platform, linking in and sharing different opportunities. But I suppose also, as well as just individual kind of CPD opportunities as well for you know, anyone on behalf of their own employer or their own business, it should in turn support their kind of hiring and recruitment needs as well. If you're someone that's coming along to an opportunity, whether it's a university, you know, diversity and inclusion fair, which we attended one of those a couple of weeks ago, or a schools outreach opportunity or a school assembly, yeah, it's really an opportunity to kind of support your own hiring and recruitment needs at the same time. So yeah, lots of reasons why people should be interested, I think.
Yeah, lots of selling points, I think. And welcome back, Becky. The joys of technology, hey.
Oh, it's brilliant. I'm actually sitting in the summer house in the garden, so I don't think the signal is best.
Oh.
It's the only peaceful place in my house.
No problem. We can all sympathise. We've all been there with different noises in the background, whether it's dogs, children, or building works, to be honest. A question I have, and it's not scripted, and so I'm sorry, Gordon, Amanda might be frowning at me at the moment, but I wanted to ask the group, what does advocacy mean to you all? You know, what does it mean to be an ACC advocate? Because you clearly are, but what does it mean? And I'm going to come to Lysanne for that first.
I think it's the advocacy behind the ACCA. Obviously, it's championing ACCA, and I have no qualms in doing that. I have had a couple of questions from people I used to work with, which are now looking into doing, you know, becoming qualified accountant. And I always say do ACCA. It's better. It's, you know, you're getting, I feel like when you do an ACCA, you're getting a broader picture while you're studying of what is out there. Rather than maybe just other, which are more focusing on the management accounting aspect. And so I'm happy to champion ACCA, and so far with the involvement that I had with Gordon and the team in Scotland, it's been quite nice, very welcoming and very open as a sort of association that's working globally as well. It's been quite nice to know that no matter where you can go, you might find someone that knows about ACCA, and you have that instant connection straight away to be part of this global organization.
Great, thanks, Lysanne, and keep flying that flag. We appreciate it a lot. Becky, same question. So what does advocacy of ACCA mean for you?
I think my answer may be quite short, but really celebrating being part of a community and celebrating our success and achievements, really, but together. Yeah. And promoting those, you know, shouting, you know, I'm ACCA from the rooftops is a fabulous achievement, and it's not easy to get to.
Great, thank you, Becky. Yeah. And Lorna, I'm writing your answer down as well. So what does advocacy mean to you?
Yeah, I think obviously, you know, it's championing ACCA, but I think to me the most important part of that, especially within early careers, is really embodying the core values of ACCA. So inclusion, breaking down barriers to the profession, accessibility to the profession, and just the fact that accounting could and should be for everyone. So I think that's something that's really important to me, but really important to early careers and anyone that's interested or keen to advocate for ACCA in the early career space. I think that's, yeah, really, really important.
Great, that's very helpful for me. Thank you. Back on script now. Thank you. Everything we do in our professional lives has to have an impact. So I wanted for you to reflect on what you think the impact of your communities has been to date, and whether there's any really strong examples that you could talk about. So coming to Lysanne, the impact of your community.
I think it's we do have, I feel like we do have an impact, just even as a sounding board for problems, and you know, being able to have this. I'm not quite sure if this is just me or if everyone experiences similar things, and that's sort of the place where you can do that in a safe environment. And we found out, yeah, a lot of people are going through sort of similar things, even though it might look on paper that we're all doing, you know, we're all sort of working in different areas, we're all sort of working in different sized companies with different industries, but fundamentally it's all sort of core, down to the core, it's all very similar. And actually I started a new job in December, but by the time I never looked for the new job that I have. I mean, it's a safari park. So when I saw that notice popping up in sort of one of these things on the internet when I was browsing, I took 2 weeks to decide whether to apply or not. But then I was sitting in the back of my head, well, that could be a really good opportunity I might miss because I'm too comfortable in what I'm doing right now. So I applied for it, and obviously I got it. And I was sharing the news in the group as well. And suddenly, loads of times, like a couple of weeks later, suddenly all of these other people popped up with new jobs as well. So I think something like this might have gotten other people to think about, am I actually happy in what I'm doing currently? And is there something else out there? And you know, maybe give them that sort of push that they needed because they might have been a little bit afraid to change jobs while still a pandemic going about and things like this. And seeing other people being able to do that and get that was quite a positive impact of the group as well. So I think there's about a handful of people, including Natalie, who started new jobs around about the time when I started my new job as well. So it's quite nice going through that as well together.
Oh, it's great. And as you say, that sharing that little bit of information gets other people thinking and maybe considering. And it's interesting that you mentioned imposter syndrome earlier. But
yes,
maybe seeing somebody actually achieving something gave that motivation to individuals to maybe actually stretch themselves, challenge themselves, and yes, you know, be successful in those applications, which is great. Thank you very much, Lysanne. Becky, what about the impact for the team? I know you've been doing other things for the last 12 months, and that's a massive impact, having your first child. But thinking about the group just before you went on maternity leave, what would you say the impact has been, and maybe an example?
I would say we've seen many students really who have come and joined our group after maybe feeling a bit isolated, or you know, at the point where they've wanted to give up with their studies. You know, it's not the easiest qualification really to study, especially if you're working full time and you've got a family. So I would say that, you know, we've seen many people complete their exams, and we've managed to celebrate those. But I was also nominated at the PQ Awards as a Mentor of the Year. So I think that says quite a lot really about impact. You know, if someone's really been struggling, I've pointed them in the right direction, and the other two ladies who are admin on our group as well will do the same. Yeah, I suppose Lysanne will know more about the impact because she was a member in my group.
So you see that connection. Amazing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think you know, one of the key things for people is to find themselves a mentor, because that can help you so much through a career progression really, and a change, or just having someone there to sound off on, or give you know, talk about challenges really. So that's great to hear that you're a mentor. Congratulations for that. And Lorna, just slightly different, but you know, what does good look like? I hate that saying, but you know, aspirationally, what does good look like? What's the impact really moving forward?
Yeah, so I think I probably mentioned it in the kind of first question that you asked, but pretty much we want to attract more young people into the profession. We want to change some of the negative perceptions of the profession that we know are out there, so bust some myths, and also diversify the profession. I would say the primary purpose isn't necessarily to directly recruit more ACCA members. It's more about just getting people into the profession more generally. But hopefully that will kind of happen in the long term, and we will have lots more ACCA members join as a part of it. And we hope that we'll be leading the way in terms of inclusion for the profession. Yeah, I don't have any kind of direct examples from the community just yet, but we have in the last couple of months done a few events and bits of outreach where we've had, you know, member advocates that have supported, and it's just those kind of comments and snippets of feedback that you get from young people where you think, oh, this community is really, really needed, and we know it's there. It's just about bringing everyone together and kind of doing it as a joint effort and streamlining it and supporting each other. But those kind of bits of feedback that we get, like, oh, I had no idea that I didn't have to be a mathematician. I just had written accounting off, but actually I can be involved, or I thought I'd have to go to university. I had no idea that I could do an apprenticeship, or, you know, I've not seen anyone that looks like me that's you know, in such an incredible role as an accountant, and now that's kind of made me realize that it's maybe opened a door for me. So yeah, that's a lot of the impact. And also, you know, supporting schools with their careers provision. We know that's something that lots of schools find quite challenging, so supporting them to meet their, you know, Gatsby benchmarks and different targets that we know that they have. ACCA can, and this community can be a real part of supporting local communities and our society, as well as those individuals, and opening doors for them as well. So yeah,
Okay.
big impact, I hope,
Thank you.
a bit later down the line.
I'm absolutely convinced of it. So yes, you're not. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the final question for this part of the discussion is, what other support do you need from members to get involved? Really, what other shout outs or call to actions would you like to see? We've got some members, future members on the call, I'm sure, but what would you like to see from them? Lysanne, just coming to you, my corner of my screen.
I think for us, it's literally, my advice would be to not be afraid to get involved, to even to post questions or to say hi and to check in the group. Similar as with the student group, there isn't a question that's too stupid or too dumb to put in, or even just to have a place to vent in a sort of a safe environment. So yeah, everyone just get involved, post, like, share anything that you might find interesting as well. So I'm quite I'm quite good in sharing articles on the AB magazine that I find interesting. So I usually try to find some time sort of over the weekend to have a look at the app, and then anything that I find interesting I sort of tend to share in the group as well, and other people do the same, or if they find sort of conferences or anything CPD related as well, they're happy to put in the group, and just anyone that sort of as well. We've got one of our members, Dinusha, has been sort of nominated for PQ award as well, so that's been put in the group to celebrate that achievement as well. So yeah, just get involved.
Yeah, thank you. Same question, Becky. Oh, I think, oh, yeah, we've got her.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'd probably give the same answer really as Lysanne. Just join. Join, like, share. We also did a bit of a trial where we set up a Instagram page and also a LinkedIn page as well. So if you get the chance and you're not on a Facebook platform, then you know that's an alternative really for us. Yeah.
Thank you, Becky. And I don't want to Lorna to be inundated, but any call to action from you, Lorna?
Yeah, I mean, as I've said, this is at the moment, it's still a future community, hopefully not too far in the future. It should be coming fairly soon. So as soon as we've got that process in place, then it will be a case of just, if you're really passionate about early careers, or you know there's something in particular that you're passionate about, or you've got a certain experience that you think would be really valuable to share with young people or teachers or careers leaders or whoever it may be, once we've got that process in place, we will spread the word. But it would just be a case of, yeah, you know, make yourself known, because there's likely to be an opportunity that we can match you up with, or if you've got an opportunity that you think would be great for us to be aware of and that we can make the most of, then yeah, it's really just spreading the word, and then yeah, getting you involved, and we'll find the right area to get you involved in. But yeah, watch this space, and as soon as we've nailed down the process, we'll share what that is, and yeah, just join and spread the word.
Thank you, Lorna. So I guess that wraps up our panel discussion for now. I'm slightly running over time and I apologise for that. I was just going to mention a couple of things for later career stages that ACCA has. And I wanted to remind people about the Career Navigator portal. I'm sure our panelists have seen that portal, but just to go in and have a look at the various career stages that you can plot your own position into. I just wanted to, there are 4 key areas that we've put criteria against, and the first one is the assurance provider, which is roles around governance, protection and reporting, so things like audit. There is the enterprise analyst, and that's the bringing the numbers to life piece, of, you know, the financial business partner, career type opportunities. And then there is the stakeholder reporter, so around performance management, you know, doing that really well. So people like financial controllers, etc. So I was just going to really point you in the direction for Navigator, and I think Gordon's popped that into the chat. We're also, I'm particularly interested in the C-suite community. So I am creating a community with colleagues that are on the call of people at that sort of very senior leadership position. So that's across all sectors, including SNP and public sector. So that's a community that I hope, like Lorna, will be available for people to come into. And then a couple of other things just to whet your appetite, really, is for those of you who, you know, don't have degrees, then we do have the Oxford Brookes degree that you can take advantage of once you're a member, and also the MSc. So those are progression pieces if you're the type of person who wants to have that degree and don't have one. Other things that we to look out for this year is our Leaders of Tomorrow programme, and that's aimed at members who've been qualified for up to 5 years. So that's really what I would class as those younger people, so not as old as me, in their late 50s, who are, you know, on the trajectory to better things and want their employer to sponsor them through that programme. You will see information coming through ACCA around that. We call it LOT programme, but that is going to be a global programme, so it will be all online, but it will mean that you get contact with colleagues from across the globe, and that's the beauty of ACCA being such a global organisation. And then, of course, taking advantage of the CPD. I think both Lisanne and Becky have mentioned the enormous amount of CPD that we have available. Some of it is free, some of it is payable, but there are not just the technical CPD, there are the softer skills type leadership programs available. So do have a look at those resources. And for those of you who haven't done the new EPSM, the Ethics and Professional Skills modules, then we are seeing a lot of members taking advantage of 9 of those modules to develop themselves in leadership skills, because a lot of that content is around your brand as a leader, as a colleague, as a stakeholder. So you can use it as a really effective CPD resource. I know I'm literally back on time now, thank goodness. So I think we're going to open up to some questions. Hopefully people won't feel shy and they'll come on camera and ask Becky, Lisanne and Lorna some questions, because you've probably heard enough from me at the moment. Have we got any questions in the chat? Let's have a look. Don't be shy. No, lots of resources being posted, but no questions. So am I going to have to pick on people? I'm going to go to anyone want to ask a question? Priya, we've got Priya on the call. Do you have a question or an observation of Becky or Lisanne or Lorna? Or are you too shy to come on? No? Okay, anybody? Okay, well, I'm going to ask a question then. So qualifying in lockdown, Becky and Lisanne, what would you, Priya's on.
Yes.
Yeah. Priya.
Yes, my question is, I have been like a member for a long time now, but I took some time off when I was having my children, you know, just about 7 years, and now I'm back. But then I used to be an auditor, but now I'm back working as a fund accountant. So I've been checking like few of the CPD and everything on the website. That's what I've been trying to do, just to catch up and then anything I've missed. Though I've been working for the past 4 to 5 years now.
So you're looking for some guidance around what to do next, Priya?
Yeah,
okay.
Please. Yeah.
I think checking on CPD and getting up to speed on technical pieces is absolutely the right thing to do. I think joining one of the groups to have that community feel and support would be probably the next piece of advice I'd give you. But Becky, Lisanne, what else would you add to that?
There's the AB magazine, which is quite a good reference. And I think on LinkedIn as well, there is a few people who post technical articles as well.
Okay.
I can follow up with the names later on.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything from you, Lisanne, to add?
No, there's not really much for me to add. I would recommend the EB magazine as well, because it's quite good to see as well. You've got the insights from other people and in different industries from there as well, and what's going on.
Great, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Priya, what I would say, you've done the absolute right thing coming on today. This is part of a series of Community Connect over April. So I think if you can get on to some of the other events, then you will start to link in with people on the call. So it builds your own personal network as well.
Okay.
So, and don't be afraid to ask, I guess, is what I would say. Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on camera. Appreciate that. So I'm going to pick on someone else now. Simon, I'm looking at Simon Clack, who's on the call. I wonder if you have a question for our panel.
Hello there, everybody.
Hi, Simon.
Nothing really. I was just going to possibly say to Lorna that I have been sort of particularly interested in trying to bring through the next generation. I did bring through an apprentice for ACCA a few years ago, which I found highly rewarding. So yeah, just basically reaching out to Lorna to say that I would be happy to represent the ACCA in at college, schools and universities to try and spread the good word about what the qualification is trying to achieve, and how it's open to, it's a diverse qualification for a diverse collection of people. It doesn't matter what your background is, what class, as long as you work hard and you apply yourself, that you can get qualified and you can go on to have a great career.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Simon. I think it'll be really good for us to connect, and I'll keep you updated when we've got something up and running. But I think, yeah, especially if you, as you say, if you've got a success or a positive story about taking on an apprentice or anything like that, is always really, really helpful, because it just gives us that kind of relatable content for those young people to hear about someone that's gone on and had a successful career through an accounting apprenticeship. So yeah, that would be great. I'll maybe find you on LinkedIn or share my email address, and we can connect, and I'll keep you linked in with what's happening. Thank you.
Yes, no problem. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Simon. I appreciate that. I've got Zolt Deek. I was wondering if I could pick on him or her, I'm not sure, to ask a question, if they're brave enough. Or Wajiha, I wonder if you might come on. If not, don't worry. Okay, I mean, I just to reiterate the question I had for you is, qualifying in lockdown, what have been some of the challenges that you've sort of overcome, really, because it is a unique situation for many people. What was that like?
I think for me, I think it was a month before we all went into lockdown and became a member. So I know that, I think before the whole pandemic started, there were sort of these celebrity dinners or things for new members as well, which obviously we've missed out, everyone that has sort of qualified in lockdown, which is sort of a shame. So it's sort of that probably for a lot of people was sort of the original first step into building that network in the community around us. So for us, obviously, having to emulate that virtually, that's sort of one of the big challenges. And as well, for me, when I qualified, I was working in a group of hotels and sort of having that conversation with my boss about, well, what's the next steps for me now that I've qualified? And it sort of was sort of a come to light that there isn't really much probably able to for me to build on what I've just done in the last few years. So then having to wonder about potentially looking for a new job while I'm in lockdown and the whole world's not doing interviews or anything like this as well is sort of a challenge by itself. But somehow I managed to do it twice in the last 2 years to then virtually start a new job as well, and then build sort of the rapport within the team all virtually as well. So it's been quite an interesting time. But yeah, with having qualified just before the pandemic, it's sort of, I think it's trying to emulate that community feeling that a lot of people got by going out in face-to-face meetings and trying to get that virtually is sort of one of the biggest challenges that we've had.
Thanks, Roseanne. Definitely. Anything to add there, Vicky?
I would just reiterate the celebrating of membership And it didn't help that every pub was closed in the UK. So yeah, that sense of celebrating, and I would like to see that come back, I think.
Well, we'll definitely pick that up and maybe come back to you over the next few months on celebrating membership. I guess we're running out of time quickly. For me, I just wanted to thank all our panelists, so Becky, Lisanne and Lorna, really informative and great community networking and growth, really. And that's what we're all about at ACCA, is building communities, a community around different areas of career stages, etc. So keep up the good work. Just to remind you, this is one of many events around the Community Connect in April, and take advantage of those short opportunities. There is definitely one on wellbeing coming up. So I know we mentioned wellbeing, and obviously we're still not out of really the COVID bubble. So do take advantage of that. And also there is an action calendar. So there's lots of activities to get involved with, just small opportunities. So have a look at that on the Trello board and see whether you could tick off a few of those activities. But it's just for me to say, on behalf of the ACCA team, grateful thanks for turning up today, listening and asking questions. And I hope to see you, maybe meet you again in the future. And I wish you a really happy Easter when it comes. And yes, take care and thanks again. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you. Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.